So the more interaction that you give us on these live events, the more people are going to see and learn how to make beeswax candles along with us here at Tea Time. So please wherever you're watching your favorite channel. If you're over on YouTube, wherever you are, please like and pop into the comments where you're tuning in from.
I've also got some nettle tea with local honey, ginger peach turmeric tea, oh yeah, Moroccan mint tea. Whoa, you guys are there. By the way, this is a reishi tea. Comes from a company called Reishi, and they've got some delicious teas as well.
Yes. All right, we're right at the top of the hour, so we're going to kick off. Welcome to Tea Time episode 2 of season 6. We're about to make a beeswax candle with you.
That's right. Last week we made a clay mask. And remember, when you make your clay mask, be sure and refrigerate it since it has water in it. It doesn't last outside of the refrigerator. So just make it up, pop it in the refrigerator, use it within a week, week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks, but typically within a week.
We are so excited. We love Tea Times. We just love helping you thrive on whatever your goals are with aromatherapy. And some of you who joined us last week when we looked at our green clay mask went on to do our first workshop in a trio looking all about and learning how to work with clays. We blended 4 different clay blends, and then we talked about a 5th. And if you were there at our workshop, give us a shout out in the comments and let us know that you attended that workshop. Again, we designed this workshop trio to go along with the topics in Tea Time for those of you who are ready to dive more into specific targeted topics.
It was very fun, I'll tell you that.
It really was.
Next week is going to be hydrosols, doing a little bit of a deeper look. A lot of people don't really know what hydrosols are. So this will be explaining hydrosols and how to use them therapeutically.
And that's April 21st?
That's April 21st, next Thursday.
And this is this workshop trio is the first time we are doing a workshop trio like this, and so we're offering a really amazing deal on that. And if that's something that you're interested in, right below where you're watching, there's a button that says join the workshop series, and you can go ahead. You'll be getting a replay for the clays workshop, and then live and replay access for working with hydrosols on the 21st, and then working with carriers on the 30th. Look at all these people who, yes, I attended last week. Very interested in the workshop. And again, it's not too late to participate. You will get a replay to that first in the trio, and then live access to the second too.
Let's pop over to the computer screen. I want to show you a few logistics here that you can easily see what Jenny's talking about. If you want to join our workshop series, it's not too late. Just click this button, join the workshop series. Also on this page where you're watching, right down below where we are, there is resources. Just click this little plus sign. You'll see all of the season 6 recipes or just today's that you can download. There's also a link where you can look at supplies if you're interested in purchasing the kit, everything that you need for the kit. And also there's some things to help you out if you're having a difficult time watching us, some things that you can try to make this a better event for you.
Oh, another fun feature. So Tea Time is our gift to you. If you want to support Tea Time, we have a new fun feature where you can buy me a coffee. There's a little floating mug with a red circle around it. And you can, it's right below where we're at. And you can, Jerry wants you to click it.
I can't find it.
You can click that and you can buy us a coffee. In our case, it's a tea.
There it is.
There it is.
So obvious.
It's a new feature for us.
Well, if I couldn't find it, I know some of you couldn't either.
Exactly.
So, right there.
It's always good to clarify. And we have folks who've already this morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you're watching in the world, we have Marina, Dor, Rhonda, Leslie, Carol, Donna, Karen, and Kim who all bought us teas. Isn't that fun? Thank you so much.
Fun.
Thank you so much for doing that. It's a lot of fun to do these events, and it's just an extra way to support if you're enjoying our Tea Time seasons. All right.
Get my computer back to its working order here.
While you're doing that, again, we have replays for this particular season of Tea Time. So if you didn't have a chance to watch our Tea Time episode 1, we have a replay for you right below where you're watching right now, as well as, like Karen said, the PDF and of all of the recipes, as well as other ways to participate and supplies over at Aromatics.
That's right. So, shall we get going?
Let's get going. Let's jump in.
Let's get going. So today is all about beeswax, of course. And in aromatherapy and herbalism and lots of areas, we use beeswax to help thicken salves. It's a very good skin barrier too. It helps to keep in the moisture, and beeswax on its own is very healing. So we like to use beeswax that is not deodorized, so we can get all the wonderful aromatherapy benefits as well as every single little bit of the therapeutic benefits.
Absolutely, and just a little backstory on this particular beeswax from Aromatics International. Karen sources it from an incredible producer in New Zealand.
I have to smell it.
And
beautiful beeswax.
It's so fantastic because the surrounding area is pesticide free, and you know bees can fly. So it's really important to have that element of that pesticide free area.
That's right.
Because they can fly and come in.
They can fly a long ways, in fact. So we use that pure beeswax. You can also get it probably locally wherever you live. Just look on Etsy. You can look many places. You might be able to even source your own beeswax locally. That's really fun too.
Although my favorite is your beeswax.
Yes, that is my favorite as well. So we love burning our candles as the candles bring in warmth and warming, and it brings this warming element right into our own space, allowing us to kind of de-stress. And as you've noticed, our theme for this season 6 season is skin and spirit nourishing self-care.
Absolutely, because it's all about just really being in the moment. You know, with the craziness of the last couple of years, sometimes it's hard to just quiet and calm. And I love using candles in this way in the morning and in the evening to light it, and it allows me to just really be in that moment.
That's right. So this season takes us on a bit of a journey. So we're making everything that nourishes our skin and our psyche together. And candles is one of the things that we can use as we are de-stressing through this tea season 6 and beyond.
Yes.
So we love making candles, and I want to show you how easy this is. Now, Jenny's been making candles for a long time, and I've been making candles for the last, 3 or 4 months. Lots of candles so that I could do lots of experimenting. So some of the things that I have discovered is a lot of candles will have synthetic fragrance in them. They might also use kind of a metal or a lead wick, which if I'm burning a candle in an atmosphere to help me to achieve de-stressing and better health, I don't want that synthetic candle going in my environment. And even when something says that it might be all essential oils, many times I will sense and I can smell that there's synthetic oils in there. The reason why they do that is synthetic oils have a more robust aroma when it comes to candle making. So, but that is not a reason for me to want to use that, which is so exciting why we can make our own candles.
Absolutely. So if you use like an apple cinnamon fragrance, that fragrance has never seen an apple or a cinnamon stick. And so it's always good to stick to basics and to really work with the things nature gives us just naturally.
Now I'm going to take a pause from giving you some comments because I want to get my beeswax measured out. And I want to take what I've already done. It took me 15 minutes to melt the beeswax, and I did it right before we came on live so that you wouldn't have to wait for that. But this is how I did it. I got a container, which you'll see which one I used in just a moment. But if you want to make a lot of candles, you can use a bigger container. And I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to show you. This is an 8-ounce jar, and if you did get the tea time kit, this is the jar that came in your kit. There are other jars you can use, like for instance,
Recycled jars.
Love using recycled jars. This was a yogurt jar, coconut yogurt jar. It has the same 2-inch size opening. There is other jars. The thing that you want to avoid if you use your recycled jars is this is okay. This much paper is okay, but if your whole jar is wrapped in paper, remember this jar is getting really hot and you don't want to give yourself a little fire going on in your peaceful atmosphere. So you can reuse your jars, of course, that you have on hand. So for this one, this is our 8-ounce jar, and we're going to put in 8 ounces by weight of beeswax. So this is, oops, let's turn it on. And get that little piece out. If you get extra beeswax, it really doesn't matter because it will harden up in your container, and next time you go to make a candle, it will unharden. So we'll get this onto our ounces. I just want to show you how much beeswax. So, okay, that's an 8-ounce jar, but it only has just under 4 ounces of beeswax. So I'm going to put that in there. It takes 2 of these, usually double the amount of your container for the amount of beeswax that you need, since it does melt. And this is an 8-ounce package of beeswax, so it's going to take the whole thing. But I wanted to show you it. So, okay, we'll get all that beeswax out. And then the next thing that we're going to do, let's remove our little scales.
Yes.
And is I would take this and set it in a pot of warm water, which I've done back here. Now, I have already melted the beeswax, so I'll set this back here.
I'm grabbing your mic so you don't trip.
How I did this is I used a pot with water in it. I put my beeswax in there, and then I put the handle over the side of the pot so it doesn't get real hot. Now I'm just going to let this set for a minute as we give you the rest of the information on this. So a lot of time goes into making a candle, but the pouring is the fast part. Selecting your wick, selecting your essential oils if you choose to use essential oils. All of that goes into play, and we've done all the work for you today with this size of a candle. Now, I did some experimenting.
That's an understatement.
Yes. I had several pans like this, and I put several different sizes of wicks in here, poured my beeswax in, and then after a couple of days when it had adequately hardened, I burned them for about 4 hours to see which size would be the best size for my candle. What I discovered, the second thing I did is I burnt beeswax and coconut oil and just plain beeswax together. And in my area, they burned exactly the same. So today, we're just using beeswax. And then when I made that little flow in my pan, then I created a chart. And I marked every single wick that I put in, what size it was, so that I could come back and refer to that. And this is really interesting as well. I tried every wick. I tried so many different wicks. And this hemp wick, which there's a link in your recipes that you can find these, I got them on Etsy. They're a flat braided wick, which square braided is how they actually say it, wick, which burns really well with beeswax. And I found this 3mm wick worked so well in many different sizes of containers, really well in this 2-inch wide container here. So the second thing is, or the next thing I should say, I've said many things.
I love it.
Is you want to secure your wick, and many times your glass will have a little emblem at the very center. You want to secure it right in the center. If you get it off center, then you'll have an uneven burn. So this is all the preparation that you do before you pour your candle. All right, now to make this even easier, you can get tabs, which you can put on the very bottom of your wick, like that, and then you take off the piece of paper that's on there. And then I like to have a little spoon to help guide me to that correct spot before I push it down. So, whoops, Oops, my hands are shaking there. I'm not getting it. There we go. And then I just use my little spoon and I push it down really hard so that it can't move when I pour the beeswax in.
That's ingenious.
Isn't it?
Yes.
That's a fast way. You can also take a little drop of your beeswax, put it in there, hold it down there until it hardens. Now we want to secure the wick so that it's right in the center. And again, there's a really easy way to do this. You can get something like this. And that's a time saver. Or you can use something like a skewer. I tried a wooden chopstick, which a lot of places do use. A lot of people use that, but I found the wick kept sliding off of it.
That makes sense.
So we will get this over here, and you just start your wick. And you just start winding it around like that until it's nice and tight. You kind of have to hold it, and you want it really nice and centered. There, now we're prepared. I see that it's nice and centered. We're prepared for the beeswax.
That is so amazing.
Okay, so we've got the square braided wick. Oh, and the other thing that you can do to help your candle not pull away from the sides is you can put a little bit of coconut oil on the inside of the candle to help the candle. What it likes to do is the wax will adhere to the edge, and then as it cools off, it will shrink out, which is okay. If you're a professional candle maker, there's a lot more that you would want to go into this, but just for us lay people who are having fun burning candles at home, this works really well. If there's a crack in your candle, it's no big deal. It's not gonna harm the burn of your candle. All right, so and at the bottom of the recipe, there's some troubleshooting tips and tricks that we'll go over when we're done making our candle.
And as we're here, pop into the comments if you have had experience making with candles, or maybe you haven't made a candle yet and this is inspiring you to do so. Let us know in the comments.
So you have options at this point. If you're going to use essential oils in your candle, for an 8-ounce candle, you can use about 8 mils of essential oil. So your recipe doesn't have any oils in the recipe because I love just the smell of the beeswax burning. And I noticed that when I put the essential oils in, it was I could smell it, but it was a very subtle aroma. But today we're going to put in 4 ounces of cypress, and if you have the tea time kit, you have the cypress, and I'm going to put in 4 ounces of red mandarin. And you can use whatever essential oils that you might have on hand. If you're in question at it, look at the Flashpoint of your specific essential oil to make sure that you indeed can put it into a candle. And as I was rummaging around, I found this handy little
device tool
that helps me get this cap off.
While you're getting that cap off, you are inspiring so many people to make candles.
Oh,
I just want you to
good.
know how many comments are flooding in saying, I can't wait to do this.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to really show you how easy this can be. So, and of course you can make little tea lights as well with just get the appropriate wick. Now I've put in about 4 ounces of cypress. It doesn't have to be exact.
Right.
Exact. If you get a little bit more in there, do not worry about that.
We are really particular about dilution when you're working with topical blends or therapeutic blends. This is going into a candle you're not putting it on your skin, so you can be a little bit more lenient with yourself.
You just want to make sure you don't put a lot in because of the Flashpoint situation.
Yes, and also always sustainability is important to keep in mind.
All right, so now what I suggest, if you want to get into candle making, is that you take one size jar, like I've done here, and those are all my little yogurt jars are the same size. Experiment with that over and over again. Get the wick that you love the best. This hemp wick, 3 millimeter, square braid is my favorite. And then you can make sure that any troubleshooting you've gone through, and then you can start experimenting, do different sizes of candles, do different types of candles. There's a lot of creative things that you can do.
I'm loving the aroma of the cypress in mandarin.
It has a little bit of a peppery, I got Jenny right on the nose, a little bit of a peppery, a citrus,
Right on the
foresty
nose.
aroma.
I see so many of you are buying us teas and coffees. Thank you so much. Claire, Susan, and Sylvia, huge thanks. You are directly supporting the efforts of Tea Time, and we appreciate you.
Okay, so we've let this cool off, almost a little too much. But I'm going to go ahead and pour in my essential oils, stirring with my little spoon.
Ooh.
I'll set that off to the side. I'm going to make sure I get all the drops though. And typically, when it starts to solidify around the edges, it's time to pour it. If you don't have time to get to it in that time, just pop it back in your hot water.
You can put it
to re-melt.
down here so they can see. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
There it is.
Now you don't want to pour
One more time. Now we're ready.
You can kind of see it's starting to solidify, so we need to pour it right away. So you want to pour not too slowly, but not too quickly. So let's do it.
Ooh. I love that immediate coating of the beeswax right on the jar.
Now I've got beeswax in here, and that's just fine because I am going to use this for my candle making from here on out. And that's what I suggest. Whatever equipment that you have, that's the equipment that you want to use every time, because candle making can be messy business.
It sure can. So I think the first time that I had a group of people, I invited them over to my house, a bunch of friends. I had all my essential oils out there, all my supplies, and we made candles. And I ruined 3 pots. I wouldn't say ruined. They went into my aromatherapy toolkit.
I noticed that my wick shifted a little bit over to the left, so I quickly, before it hardened up, recentered that. Now, I also have a little chef's torch. So if there's something on the top that I don't like, I will just torch it. But if there's a crack, or suddenly you get distracted while you're pouring, or you want to do a second pour on here, it's perfectly fine. You will have a line there, and you can see where you've poured, but it doesn't hurt the burning ability of the candle.
Do you want to go into Flashpoint?
Flashpoint is something that you have to look at the essential oil. You have to look at the SDS sheet of that particular essential oil. Sometimes you can just search Flashpoint of sweet orange or Flashpoint of patchouli or whatever. Now typically, most oils you can use in candle making, most essential oils. So just take a look, if it's a new oil that you're going to be using, or search the Flashpoint of that particular oil.
And especially at this dilution.
This dilution is right.
Yes. Will you allow me one reminiscence? Early on when Karen and I were doing live events, maybe 4 years ago now, 5 years ago now, we were in our studio and we were making something that had a double boiler, and someone in the comments were like, "You're on fire." And I was like, "We're on fire," and a little rag had caught that
burner,
yeah. And there was
the
smoke
background behind us, and we finally turn around and look, we're on fire.
We're literally on fire.
So that's right. So you want to practice safety information.
Yes.
And then when this hardens, it's going to take a couple of days before it sufficiently hardens to burn. So you're going to want to wait a little bit. It's hard, I know. And as long as you're pouring one candle, you might as well pour 3 or 4 candles once you get onto your first candle. So get onto your first candle. It took me several candles to decide what was happening, what wasn't happening, what I needed to do, what I needed to refine.
I would say sheets and sheets and sheets of candles.
The reason why the wick is important is because you want a burn that goes almost to the edge of your candle. I've gotten a lot of candles that I have bought that maybe it's this big of a opening and it only burns that much. So all that wax is wasted on the sides. No matter how long I burn it, that wick just simply isn't big enough to expand it to almost the edges. So you should be able to test your candle, burn it for 4 hours after 2 days, after 48 hours, burn it for 4 hours for the first time, see where your burn is. see if it does almost reach the edges. And if so, you've got the perfect wick. And if not, if it doesn't burn out, get a larger wick. All right, so under troubleshooting tips, if tunneling occurs, use a slightly cooler wax, which we did. It was nice and cool, but not too cool, otherwise you can't pour it. And let's see, you can warm your jar up before pouring, which I did. I kind of dipped it right into the hot water, undipped it, and got it nice and warm.
There are a lot of questions coming in, and tea time is just designed to be a time where we jump on and we hang out. So those of you who are in our natural living class, our certification program, any of those courses, you can hop into the forum and there's already discussions on that particular topics. I see questions coming in. And if we haven't, one of our amazing Aroma Head instructors, or if we haven't addressed your question here in the comments, just email us team@aromahead.com and we can push you in a direction to learn more.
And yes, Diana, this candle will have a little bit of that essential oil that I have put in there. So if you don't want any of that essential oil, there's not that much left in this portion of it. If you want a totally different aroma without any of that in there, then you would melt this, pour it out, and then wipe it out, and then put your new wax in and melt it. And you can even have a couple of melting containers going on.
One big takeaway for me from as your content creator from this event is a blog on Flashpoint. So stay tuned.
That's right. So Flashpoint, Aromatics does not have the Flashpoint. They do if you ask them. If you ask customer service, they can look at the GCMS report, the original one, and give you the Flashpoint of that oil. However, you can also get that online.
Yes. We have two more people to thank for, they bought us a tea.
Thank you so much.
We have Carolyn and then just someone stayed anonymous, just someone. So thank you, someone, and thank you, Carolyn, for our tea today.
And let's see here. The Wicks, Nikki, is if you look at your recipe, there's a link that you can click on the recipe PDF. Click on that link and it will take you directly to where I purchased my hemp wicks. And these are the wicks that are in your kit as well. Notice there's more than one wick in your kit if you purchased a kit. That's so that you can make some more candles, but also when I was starting, I pulled a little bit too hard, pulled this right directly out of this little thing here, and I thought, oh, if that happens, you're going to want a second wick.
Right.
So that's why you have more than one wick in your kit.
This has been so much fun, and it's always been on our bucket list to build out a larger, more comprehensive course on candle making. So this was just a taste of how to make a candle if you haven't yet done so, or if you're new to the concept. Of course, if you're a professional candle maker, this is just beginner info for you. So thank you for being here. And there's ways to, if I saw someone ask about the replay, so right below where you're watching, you will be able to see the replay for this particular episode, which is episode 2 in our season 6 series. You can also watch our first replay right below where you are viewing right now, as well as upcoming events. And again, wherever you are watching, if you could do us a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe, it just helps us get the word out on how to make incredible aromatherapy products in a really approachable, easy, friendly way.
So if you look under supplies on your recipe, it will show the wick, and it's clickable. You can click that wick and go right to Etsy. I just checked it out. You can get right there. So look on your recipe, look for a different color under the supplies, right beside the wicks, and there you'll find it.
There you go. So we will see you again 1 week from today, next Monday, our time in our hemisphere. So we can't wait to keep making these blends that are so nourishing for our skin and our souls. That's the theme of our season 6 of Tea Time. And how many of you are gonna be in our workshop trio, the second of 3 on hydrosols? That's coming the 21st. Karen has so much information. One of our goals this week is to really pare down because there's so much.
It's a 45-minute class.
It will be longer.
15-minute Q&A, and I see that I have enough for a 20-hour class. So I'm paring it down a little bit so that it's digestible for those who are watching it. It is meant to be an introduction to the hydrosols, and there's so much I just want to share. I can't wait. Now to finish off this candle.
Yes.
Now you can take your scissors, and what I do is I start unwinding the wick, and I'll just cut it so there's maybe 1/4 of an inch left on that wick. And then every time I burn it, I'll cut off the wick that is, if it's too long, so that it doesn't smoke in my atmosphere.
I love it.
The remaining wax in here, what I would suggest, this has come up a few times, is I would add some more wax in here, and I would melt this, and I would pour it into one of my nifty little jars that I have had to make another candle, wipe it out, and then if you're having a candle with a different aroma that you want in there, then you have a fresh container to work with.
Thank you. I love that. I see a lot of people who are going to be there for our hydrosol trio, and I chuckled because we tried to keep our clay hydrosol, which when you purchase the workshop trio, you get replay access to that working with clay intro, and we as much as we tried to keep it to 45 minutes, it was solidly 60. So there's a lot of information on clays if that is something you want to explore. So that's why I chuckled about hydrosols.
Well, a backstory of why we're doing hydrosols is that we do teach hydrosols in a couple of our classes, the Natural Living and the ACP class. But there's always more information that I want to give you, especially those of you who are just starting to work with hydrosols. Maybe you've worked with hydrosols for quite a while. There's a lot of information that I find very few people know about how to handle hydrosols, how to use hydrosols, how they differ from the essential oils. And is it the same as just adding water to, or essential oils to water? These are really important questions that we're going to be addressing.
I love it. All right, so ways to keep connecting. Make sure you subscribe so that anytime we are posting content, you are able to be the first in line to get that. And please, again, if you want to subscribe and follow, we are so happy. The more you do that, the more our content is able to go out into the world.
That's right. So if you're not finding your links, I see the team is on here putting links on for you. You can also email team@aromahead.com if your question got missed, because we try really hard to make sure all your questions are answered.
Yes, absolutely. And again, those of you in our Natural Living class, our certification program, our graduate program, our scholars program, hop right into the student forum and either start a discussion or you can review past discussions.
By the way, I'm wearing my AromaHead apron, and I'm doing this because sometimes I make a splatter. I also might splatter. I see I got a little bit on the counter here, even though I had something down to protect the counter. Splatters just happen. So to protect your clothes, why not wear a really fun AromaHead apron that you can find right on the AromaHead website.
There you go. All right, we just have so much fun doing our tea time episodes with you. Thank you for being here and joining in the experience. You make it just so rich and fun, and we just love it when you're able to join live, and we know it can't work for everyone. So if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for joining in on the experience.
One more thing. Yes, you can use a Pyrex to melt your wax, but whatever you use probably isn't going to be usable for anything else. You can also use a, like when you open some olives or you open a can, a metal can, you can use that metal can for melting as well.
Love it.
Okay.
All right, that's your last tip on candle making for this season or this episode. And again, thank you so much for being such a warm, valued part of our community, and we cannot wait to connect very soon. All right, bye for now.